Me and Tony Stark have a lot in common. If you look past his smarts, his billions, his charm, you can see that we're one and the same because both me and Tony wouldn't be the men we are now if it wasn't through being trapped in a cave. Tony, he was a narcissistic playboy man-child, but through his cave experience, he transformed into the heroic, sacrificial father. Similarly, when I was about 6 years old, I was a youngin', but I had the traumatic experience of being trapped in a cave. I've been in caves before, but this second cave was different, because in this cave, you couldn't see a Mighty Morphin Power Ranging thing, and just like Tony, I was oozing with arrogance. I could destroy any trainer anytime, and I thought I could go through anyways. Flash? Who needs Flash? I'm not gonna waste my time finding dumb HMs. Until I found myself lost and low on potions. I was desperate. I needed a guide, so I cried out for my older brother to guide my un-HM having self back to safety, and he got me through. He gave me the confidence that I could be the best, that no one ever was, and that I could be the Pokemon League champ. But back to
Tony. Hey, Tony.
Iron Man is the perfect 45-minute movie. As it starts an entire universe for a film franchise, it hits hard and fast. Because if we do not like the character that this world is built around, why would we watch the next 25 movies in the series? You see, Iron Man does not spend time showing our hero's mother birthing him or political councils discussing. Instead, every scene has Tony Stark in it to showcase his character while informing us on the world that we have entered. It starts off with our hero in a Humvee, wearing a tuxedo, drinking and talking about his, relationship with supermodels. So we already know that Tony prioritizes money, drinking, and women. Quite a bit different than our hyper-moral heroes that we were accustomed to at the time. We see how Tony thrives with attention as he talks with the common soldiers. They treat him like a celebrity, and as one soldier timidly asks to take a picture with him, the soldier throws up a peace sign and Tony unconvincingly states,
Yeah, peace. I love peace.
and boom, they get ambushed and Tony's hit with a missile with his own name on it. We then cut to an awards night for Tony, where we do get a bit of an exposition dump, but is done concisely and with style, giving us the facts that we need that would come up awkwardly in conversational form, as Aquafina did when telling Shang-Chi that he's been her best friend for 10 years. From the awards night, we cut to Tony at a casino, drinking and gambling surrounded by women. And as he leaves for the night, he's approached by a reporter. He's ready to dismiss her and go home, until Jon Favreau says that the reporter's a cute one, so
Walla
now she's worth talking to. She questions him about the morality of his wealth, and his response highlights Tony's perspective, that power resides with whoever has the biggest stick, and that his mass production of pew-pews is the solution to peace, and he justifies America's nukings during World War II. This view is later replicated at Tony's sales pitch of the Jericho missile. He gives another spiel about how power resides whoever has the biggest gun because
That's how Dad did it, that's how America does it, and it's worked out pretty well so far.
this scene simultaneously gives us a look at Tony's perspective and business while also showing us how scary his enemies are, as the power of the Jericho rockets is now the power of the 10 rings, because the big stick now belongs in their hands. Whenever we start a journey into a new world, we tend to have a guide with us. Maybe one to give us advice that it's dangerous to go alone, or maybe one to tell us about the enemy, or one that's basically just a tutorial. But I would argue that the best guide, the one that audiences connect with the most, are the guides that go with us on the journey. The ones that are a couple of steps ahead of our hero, so they can give sagely advice, but do not have everything 100% figured out. They may be scared of the evils in front of them, but they keep their composure to lead our heroes well. And most admirable of all, they care deeply for the success of our character and their mission, to the point that they would lay down their life for their friends. You see, Tony needs some help. He got hit with a rocket and is about to die. But good old Jensen comes in to stabilize him. Tony is also captured by terrorists. They're forcing him to build weapons of mass destruction, but Jensen is there to help him escape. Tony is also misguided, overindulgent of the passions of this world, but Jensen teaches him that
So you're a man who has everything and nothing.
But Jensen is unique because he's earned Tony's ear. Tony's surrounded by people who are starstruck by him, the type of fame that he could get his old underwear sold on eBay for thousands of dollars. And Tony even rolls over the strong-willed Pepper, Rhodey, Obadiah, but Jensen is the only one who speaks on his level with authority and gets his attention. And unlike the other people who do Tony's dirty work, Jensen is the only one who does something for Tony he can't do himself. Tony could have gone to the awards show, but instead he shamelessly lets Obadiah go in his stead. Compared to when Tony is incapacitated and most vulnerable, Jensen's the one who performs the surgery. Tony could have broken up with that reporter the next morning, but instead he lets Pepper
taking out the trash.
But when Tony can't speak the native tongue, Jensen is there to be his translator. Tony could have arrived to his flight on time, but instead he lets Rhodey wait there for hours. But when Tony's not ready to fight, Jensen is there fending off the 10 rings and sacrifices himself in the process. Since Jensen has earned Tony's respect, Tony is finally ready to listen to someone. Tony's not sure whether he should accept his death, throw in the towel, because his worldview has been shaken. He saw soldiers killed by his own weapons. He feels powerless as his legacy has been sabotaged. And to make things worse, he is now held captive in a cave in the desert with shrapnel by his heart, likely to kill him in a week. But Jensen comes in to invigorate him, that even though Tony's responsible for this mess, he can't roll over but fix this and stop the 10 rings. And so Tony chooses to fight. By creating the mini arc reactor, he keeps the shrapnel out of his arteries, taking his first step to becoming a hero. After this, our narcissistic hero takes his selfless second step. While Jensen's about to be tortured, Tony puts his life on the line, bargaining for Jensen and states,
I need him.
And the most important lesson that Tony learns from Jensen is, what good is it for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? Tony has everything but nothing. And we connect so genuinely with Jensen because as he tells Tony that he wants to get him out for his family is who Jensen is fighting for. We are led to believe that Jensen intends to escape with Tony to be with his family, but as we later learn, his family is already passed, and we see that Jensen's plan all along was to sacrifice himself for Tony to avenge his family, because he knew that Tony was the only one capable of stopping the 10 rings. And through Jensen's guidance and sacrifice, Tony escapes. He changes his ways, he stops his production of weapons, and begins morphing into the hero of Iron Man.